So, have a great day, everyone. Welcome again to another session of our learning experience with this new course or subject. Today, we are going to talk about the new subject. Our course title or subject title is Building and Enhancing New Literacies Across the Curriculum with the course code EDUC 10. So, this is another professional education subject. So, this is another journey, another educational journey to continue. This is another chapter for us to continue to learn because I believe that in teaching and in learning, no, in teaching and learning process, it is a continuous process. So this time we will be having our short lecture about building and enhancing new literacies across the curriculum. This subject is another part of the professional education curriculum in which there is new changes, and this subject is being offered for second consecutive year already. This was given to me last semester, and this time also another set of students, no, coming from the third year education students. So this time we will be having our short course orientation and the course outline, and we will be also talking about the concept of new literacies because there are different terms that we need to consider and give emphasis on the following, like the word new literacies, and of course across the curriculum. And the adjective here is how are we going to build and enhance those new literacies and integrate these new literacies through the across all the curriculum or across all subject areas. So this is another exciting moment for us, no, to learn about this subject or this course, building and enhancing new literacies across the curriculum. The word new literacies, probably you have different words that could be associated. No? There are different words in your mind. There are different thoughts on what is all about the concept of new literacies. Because from the word itself, it is a novel. It's a new, because the opposite one of this new literacy is what we call the basic literacy. We all know, no, as a future educators like you are going to deal with basic literacies. No, that is what we want to impart to our learners. No, traditionally we want our learners to become literate, but now we are in the 21st century. We are hoping that our learners are also characterized into the 21st century learners. And of course, you as a future educators, you are going to equip yourself of these new literacies, or also called the 21st century skills. No? We are preparing you, no, for those who are future educators. You will become our future builder, no, future builder of our nation. No? So that is why we need to equip our future learners, our learners as of today, with these 21st century skills, or also consider as the new literacies. In this course or subject also, we'll be discussing how are we going to apply these new literacies, the different approaches of teaching, the different strategies of teaching, and how are we going to use these new literacies that we acquired through the teaching and learning process into the different curriculum. So I believe that this is very exciting, and I'm hoping that you will be able to learn from this presentation, that I will be able to impart my knowledge and wisdom about this subject, because throughout the video discussion, throughout this video or lecture video, we will be answering questions. There are three questions being given. There are three questions which are already set that you are going to answer in the comment section later once the video is already available. So please watch the entire video. And if this is your first time, by the way, if this is your first time visiting this channel, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell in order for you to be updated of our additional video lectures about our subject, building and enhancing new literacies across the curriculum. So for those who already subscribed this channel, thank you so much for supporting. You can also uh, click the like button if you like this video, and of course share this one to your future educators. This could really help them, especially in preparation of their licensure examination for teacher. I hope that I could also give my best to discuss about the basic concept of the new literacies. So to start, let us have our course orientation. If you try to look at the pictures below, no, this is our first activity. This is our first question about our discussion for this day. So try to observe. Let's have the picture analysis. This is our first question. Try to observe the picture, look into it. No, you can be creative and imaginative in making your own connections with the picture into your mind or your thoughts. So what the picture will tell us on to different conception, different perception. So the first question goes like this. No, you need to interpret the picture because this is a picture analysis. What does the picture want us to tell us? So try to analyze the picture and what is the message of the picture to us. So that is our first. No, I hope that you will be able to share your thoughts in our comment box section, no, comment section below, and I will be reading that one. I will be happy reading your thoughts on the picture because I believe that I could also learn from you. So give time to yourself to reflect on this. So let's proceed now to our course outline. No? This is our first discussion, a thorough discussion. We have already conducted our first meeting with the meet and greet, and now let's have the course outline. No, I also asked you to make your expectations, your thoughts on the subject. So this time, let's have go into details of the following outline or course content of the content of this course using the course outline. So the description will tell us that it introduces the concept of new literacies in the 21st century. We remember that we are already in the 21st century. There are new literacies that we need to encounter. We need to equip ourselves because we definitely know what is basic literacy. Now, we want our learners to become literate. No? Basically, in the foundation years of our students during the preschool, elementary, we want our learners to become literate basically. That's reading, writing, and comprehension probably. No? So in our survey or in our study, there were studied by the Philippine Statistics Authority that almost 95% of the Filipino people were literate, meaning to say, basically they can read and write. So there's no problem with that. But in the 21st century, what we want to our learners, no, because what we want to our learners, we want them to become literate. Okay, so literate in the new literacies in the 21st century. So what are those 21st century literacies? This include the following, of course, globalization. No, we are talking about globalization. Even in your high school years, globalization is being involved, being discussed by your teacher in different subject areas. So why we need to become global citizen? No? Because we are interconnected. Our country is interconnected. Each individual in this world are interconnected. We need them. They also need us. We need to have what we call interaction with each other in our existence here in our world. And of course, part of the 21st century skills under the globalization is multicultural literacy. We need to become aware of different culture. We need to become culturally sensitive. We need also to expose ourselves to the different perspectives when it comes to culture. So that there will be no discrimination, no prejudice, and negative effect of judging other culture. Then, of course, another area of the 21st century literacy is the social literacy. So, in more details, we'll be talking about the different aspects when it comes to social literacy and media literacy, where in fact all of us are being exposed to different forms of media. So, how are we considered to become literate when it comes to the utilization of media? And this one, the financial literacy. Of course, this is very important skill as of today. These are also considered part of the social, and these are also called part of the life skills, the financial literacy skill or financial literacy. And we cannot also exclude cyber literacy or digital literacy because we are living now in the digital world. Everyone is using the different devices. They are into the different digitalization. Our life is into a fast pace because of its era of digitalization. And then we could not also exclude eco-literacy. It's all about environment, know how to preserve our environment. That's another part of what we call the 21st century skills or new literacy. And it is also included in this course the creativity when it comes literacy in being creative and artistic literacy. So also it will be included in this subject the different pedagogy and andragogy if we talk about adult education. So let us skip on this one because I already presented the different outline, the different content when it comes to our uh, our outline of the course in the 21st century new literacies. So basically, our discussion right now will talk about the concept of new literacies. So what is all about new literacies? We've been into basic literacy from our basic foundation in high school and elementary. We all know that we need to learn to write, to read, to comprehend, and everything. But now I will be exploring you to the new literacies. How did this new literacy started and how important the basic literacy? It doesn't mean that it's all only a basic literacy. Dili na siya important. But in this case, basic literacy is very important in order for us to explore the new literacies. We'll be talking also the history of the new literacies, of history of the literacy, why these are being considered as an important skill to every human being, to every student like you, to every professional, why literacy is very important. So to continue, I have here a second picture, another question number two for a picture analysis. So try to look at the picture. No? There is a question here, a question mark, thinking a human being being animated, now thinking of the picture. There is a tree and there are different symbols. So try to uh, analyze the picture presented and give me your thoughts on the picture. So I'll give you a minute to think about it and write the second question. The second question is all about the second picture. Give me your thought. What are your thoughts on the picture? What message does the picture want us to tell? The picture really tell us on what point when it comes to literacy. So I am waiting on that. No, in your comment section, I'll be reading. I will be happy if you will be giving your comment and your thoughts on our comment section below. So to continue, I'll be reading that one. So let's play anagrams. So we have what we call a drill and activity. So I hope that you know what's an anagram. If it is your first time to encounter an anagram game, it's a word game which you are going to rearrange the word exactly the same letters. You are going to arrange that one and create another word. So, for example, I have here raise lite. So you are going to create one word out of it, depending on the instruction. So, what do you think is the answer for this? Raise lite. So, 5 seconds. I will be giving you one, two, three, four, five. So, bracelet. This is also to enhance our brain while we have our discussion, no, for us to be energized, no, to let our brain works. Our neurons are working while you are listening to this video. So, race is what's the answer? What do you think is the answer? The answer is literacy. So if you got it right, no, that's a good job. No, your mind is working. So 2, 4, 6, 8. Eight were letters, and that were a group of letters are being rearranged, and it created another word, literacy. Of course, we are talking about the word that you're going to compose out of the letters that being rearranged must be word related to our course, no? So the first one is literacy. Let's have this one. Oh, so you will have the word caution. So rearrange the word. This is only one word again. What is caution? Caution at the count of five. You create one word out of this. You need to use all the letters. A count of five. Write your answer on the comment box. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if your answer is education, you got it right. So if we can rearrange the word education, it's about caution. Yeah? Okay, so I hope that you are still with me, and you are doing it. Our activity of our brain teaser. It's a brain teaser for us to activate our brain cells out there and our neurons. No, so we have another one, non-violent, AC. So another word that you need to create. What do you think is this? Non-violent AC. So let's count 1 to 5. I hope that you can able to answer this one. Non-violent, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if it is in your mind, the word conventional, another word, conventional, you got it right again. So I think you got it 3 scores na, no? Kaya mga mahusay man ng mga estudyante, mga bright. Let's have another one. So tingnan natin, no? Nagkakaroon na ng higher degree of difficulty. RPH Economics. Okay, so I'll give you another seconds for you to think of these words or word. This is only one word. A clue for you at the count of 5. This is related to literacy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it. And the correct word, comprehension. If your word is comprehension, you really comprehend the word that you're going to rearrange. That's comprehension. So we are about to end this brain teaser. So, and I think that's the last word, comprehension. So that's an anagram. You can use this one as a drill in your different activities, in your lecture, in your online class, in during face-to-face. You can create more out of it so that your student will also be interested to listen and activate their brain cells while you are going to start your lesson or your class. So let's start with the concept of literacy. So what's in our mind when you hear the word literacy? So I have here the word literacy. So just give me a few seconds to start. So the word literacy stems from the word literate. So it comes from the word literate, which first appeared during the 15th century and is in turn derived from the Latin word literatus. Okay, so if you hear the word literatus, no, that's the origin of the word literacy. And we can also have the word liter, no, liter. Okay, what does literatus means? The literatus means meaning a person marked with letters. So sa una di ay, before, people are being marked of different letters so that it will be distinguished or identified by letters. So if a person, no, you are person A, you're person B, person C, person D, so as so on and so forth, no, you are being identified according to the label of letters being used to you, no, and carried with the idea that such person was cultured and educated. Imagine if you are being labeled with the different letters in the alphabet, probably using the Roman alphabet, the Greek alphabet, the Latin alphabet, or whatever alphabet that they are using. No, person is being labeled as cultured and educated, meaning you have that label of being a person who have been into civilization. No? So you are literate. No? You are being cultured. You are being exposed to the process of learning. You are being labeled as an intelligent human being, no? During the 15th century. Okay, another definition. the ability to read and write. Now, basically, when we use the word literacy right now, it's a simple definition of a person who were able to read and write. If you were able to read and write, you are a literate individual. That is why, according to PSA, Philippine Statistics Authority, there are more than 95% of the Filipino citizens are literate. Therefore, there are few only who could not read and write. But most of the population of our country able to read and write. So meaning to say, medyo matalino yung mga Pilipino dahil nakakabasa, nakakaintindi sa binasa at marunong sumulat. But there are still, no, at least or 5% of the total population were not able to read and write because of some circumstances. We believe on that, no? But still, no, we are trying that, trying, the government is trying through the education agency that our learners, our citizen will become literate when it comes to reading and writing. So therefore, it's a prime importance, the prime importance leading to strong association of being literate. No, you are being called as literate individual if you are able to read and write. Now, imagine if you want to run, see a position of our government, you are only being asked one of the qualification, a very minimum requirement to run the public service. You are just able to read and write or literate. You can be a candidate. You can be an elected official of our country. Another one, literacy is critical in helping us make sense of the world. So what does this statement tell us? Make sense of the world. It only means that we can understand how the world operates, how the world is working, how the people are working, how our people are interconnected. So make sense. Another term is to understand. Now, if we are literate, we can understand how the world operates. That's the basic fundamental requirement. If you are living in this world, you need to understand how the world operates. From the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep, we are constantly making meaning of the world. No, so that is very important. That is why our parents are sending us at a very young age in preschool, in elementary, because they want us to become literate and will be able to understand the meaning of the world. So basically, the literacy will start always on the foundation of learning of the student. So that's the very critical stage of learning. That is why there are some parents, although they are at the very young age, at 3 years old, they are sending their sons and daughters to a preschool to explore the basic process of learning. So that is one way of exposing our learners to basic literacy. So to continue, another definition. The term literacy is used in this source, this presentation. It refers to a wide range of skills. So the word literacy here is being associated to the word skills. So if you are literate, you have that skill, whatever is that, writing skill, reading skills, all are being associated with that. And another word is ability. No, but when we say ability, kakayahan. No? That's our ability, our how we use that skill. So that literacy is always related to reading, writing, listening, speaking, viewing, and performing. Or in your subject, English before, English, no, language, this is what we call the five macro skills, no? Writing, reading, listening, speaking, viewing, and performing. All of this are what we call part of literacy. This is what we learn from school. No, the school are formal ways of learning. No, although we can still learn this one from our different home, but our parents are sending us, no, to facilitate this learning with our teachers. No, like our parents could help us be to teach us how to read, how to write, how to listen, how to speak, and this and the rest. No, but our parents are sending this one. Our parents is sending us to school to formalize the education process. Okay, to continue. Another, no, there are different definition, meaning that that had been given to us by the different authors, different resources and references. So, what is literacy? While the traditional definition of literacy have centered mostly on the ability to read and write, no, meaning to say, traditionally, when you hear the word literacy, it is only just connected with the word read and write. Basic. Contemporary definition, when you say traditional, that was in the past. Contemporary, that is recent. In the recent era, the definition of literacy had changed. No? It also includes social practices. So what are those? As associated with culture and power. So this is a very important word that being used here, that reading and writing is not the only literacy that we want. We need, no, in the 21st century, in the contemporary world, the definition of literacy includes the social practices, that includes the our culture and power. So it interwoven. When I say interwoven, it is interconnected to each other among all literacy practices, including our teaching, learning, and how we use the literacy. So if you are a future educator, if you are a future licensed teacher, literacy is very important because this is what we impart, what we practice, and what we deliver. This is the services we offer to our future learners, that our learners will become an effective and literate individual in our city, being a citizen of our country. Furthermore, because we are in the 21st century, we are now in the digitalization. So the digital age has brought more innovations, changes, development, enhancement of the literacy. So how people make meaning, it also changes. No? How we interpret things, how we comprehend different situation, that also involves changes. No? Involvement of innovations. Meaning, so the term literacy have also changed. It also includes making meaning from different modes of communication. So communication, no, that is why this is, as I started our lesson, our first day, I really exposed you and I really challenge you to develop the communication skills. Because as I said, the literacy has changed its meaning, has added several association, and number one being added to that definition of the word literacy is communication. So we need to improve our communication skills because that is one of the most primary skills or literacy that is demanded to us as an individual when we are in the education institution, or we when our profession is all about education. Communication is very important. Whatever, as I said, whatever is your future profession, communication is very important. Your skill in communication is very important regardless of your future profession in this world, no? So why? So we focus on the conventional concept of literacy. By the way, we are now starting the concept. Now, when I say concept, idea. So when you hear the word conventional, that is associated with the word traditional. Traditional na pagbibigay pangangahulugan sa konsepto ng literacy. So we have here Myler subdivided the literacy in three categories. So please focus on the three subdivision of literacy into a conventional way. So meaning to say, when it's conventional, this is how the traditional way of subdividing or making a categories of the concept of literacy. So if we try to look at in the presentation, it's already presented there. The first one is the basic literacy. The second one is the comprehension literacy. And number three is functional or practical literacy. So we are being challenged by some of our parents before. No? Now, don't go to school because what you need is just how to read, write, and compute, and that's enough. So that's the idea of literacy before. That is why if you're done already with your elementary years and high school years, your parents will not let you send to a tertiary education or college education because they have that belief, conventionally speaking, they only want their children able to read, write, and compute. That's all. That's what we call the basic literacy. And of course, we could also have the simple comprehension. If you can understand what you read, that's enough. And the most important one is the functional or the practical literacy. We need to become a street smart. I hope that you hear the word street smart. Not all professionals are street smarts. Not all undergrad or those who were not able to finish their degree, their education are not that of good. No? Because there are individuals who are not being sent to a formal education. They are still street smart. This is what we call the life skills. This is what we want to our learners. No? Kung sa salitang Pilipino pa, dapat itong mga tao o mga mag-aaral o sino man na nandito nabubuhay sa mundo, dapat ay marunong dumiskarte sa buhay. That's what we call functional or practical literacy. But let us go into details on how Myler give its explanation on the three basic categories of literacy. So according to Myler, the basic literacy means the ability to use correspondence visual shapes. Okay, so the visual shapes, circle, triangle, but this was introduced to us when we were in preschool, kindergarten. No, that's basic literacy. We can identify visual shapes. Out of that visual shapes, we can interpret that this is a table because the table is a rectangle, a square, and this is a chair because it's a circle. So that is a simple association. No, if you still remember the psychoanalytic stages, no, on the discussion of how human being, how a young individual able to interpret what had been shown to them, no, on part of the human growth and development, no, where their minds started to develop, their brain started to develop. Diba? If you observe a 4 or 5 years old or a 2-year-old child, now they have the difficulty to conceive or to comprehend things into a reality because they don't have that yet. The function of their brain is not that of fully developed. That is why basic literacy in elementary or in grade 1 or kindergarten or preschool, we are being introduced to different shapes because that shape should be associated into the actual situation. Like circle, a circle is a clock, like that one, no? And of course, another ability of a basic literacy, speaking sounds, di ba? If you still remember when you are in elementary, letters are being pronounced according to its sounds. Ah, a, o, e. We are being introduced in that. That is why it's a basic literacy. In order to decode the written materials. That is why, how are we going to read the word apple? We started by writing the letters. We need to identify the letters, no? Especially when you are elementary teacher. So you are going to introduce this one. No? First thing, before they can read the word apple, a teacher will show a picture of an apple. Example like this. Forgive me of my drawing. No? And of course, that's the shape of an apple. And of course, everyone should identify, every learner in that grade level or on that level should identify the different letters. If you could not identify the letters, of course, you have the difficulty to identify the word and the sound of the letter. So it always starts with what letter is this? No, I could still remember when I was in elementary or preschool. No, we are being introduced by our parent, able to give us a supplement discussion after we are done with our formal class in our kindergarten in a daycare center. No, I could still remember that when I was in a kindergarten. No, it's a daycare center. It's not a school which today we have. No, it's a daycare center, but the same process. No? So we need to decode the written materials by using the shapes, the sound of the letters and the word. and for us to translate them into oral language so that we can identify the word apple. And that's basic literacy. We all undergo this process. We could not read the word. We could not state a single word. We cannot utter if we are not exposed to this different series of processes in order for us to decode the written materials. We cannot word the word literacy, if we cannot identify that the first letter is letter L and it follows letter I and so on and so forth. So that's basic literacy. Okay, let's proceed now to the comprehension literacy. Forgive me of the presentation. It means that having the ability to understand the meaning of the verbal materials. So it's the higher one. No, it's if you try to compare this one on the on Bloom's taxonomy of learning, of Bloom's taxonomy of learning objectives. No, there are degree. No, it is arranged. So the basic one, the basic literacy, that's the lower one, and the comprehension literacy, it's the ability to understand the meaning of the verbal materials. Okay, so when we hear the word apple and we read it, the word, how should it be read by a person, no? And there is a picture, we can give a meaning of the verbal material, the word apple, that this is uh, an apple. No? And if we engage or involve ourselves that this is an apple, we let our students what? Taste the apple so that he could remember that this is an apple. And that's what we call, we can decode, no? We have now the functional or the practical literacy. The functional and the practical literacy means it's the ability to read, decode, and comprehend materials needed to perform every day in the vocational task. When I say vocational task, no, if you hear the word vocational, this is for our day-to-day basis activity of our life. So how we use the word, for example, this is a chair. The chair is being used for you to sit. This is a fork. This is a spoon. The fork and the spoon is being used for you to aid, for you to eat. No? So that's what we call practical or functional. We can read, we can identify the reading material, the verbal material, and we can also perform everyday vocational tasks due to the literacy that we acquire. And that's what we call functional or practical literacy. Okay? So to repeat, Myler, in 1973, according to him in his research, the literacy is divided into three subcategories in the conventional way. We have the basic literacy, comprehension literacy, and the functional literacy, or also called the practical literacy. So I just hope that it is very clear for you what are the subcategories of literacy. So to continue on the discussion of Myler's, according to him, in his views and definition, all are centered on conventional skills and reading, skills of reading and writing. It will really start with reading and writing. While conventional literacy is used to measure the academic success, yes, correct. Now we can say that you are successful, you are an honor student, you are a cum laude, you are performing well if you are good in reading and writing. Uh, this success are being set by our school. Its definition in most cases exclude literacy as knowledge, competence, expertise in specialized area. To continue, based on this conventional view of literacy, there are two things in reading to exist. One, a text consisting of symbols and grammar. So that's, for example, in English, there are grammars that we should follow in order for us to comprehend the word, the sentence, or the phrase, or whatsoever. And of course, there are symbols being used, the letters and whatever symbols that being used. That is written. So that is a text. The second, out of the text, we need to understand. No, that is why when we read, there is a need for us to comprehend the things that we read. Sometimes there are figure of speech being used for us to go deeper on our understanding of the text given. It's not always a word-to-word definition of the sentence. No, sometimes you go beyond the text. That's what we call reading beyond the text, or reading between the lines. No, I hope that you hear that statement. No, you read between the lines, because sometimes the statement will not just give you literally. That is why the word literally given. When I say literally given, that's word by word. No, the definition of word. For example, you are beautiful. Literally, that stating us that we are beautiful. But if there are some sentences or phrases that being used that you need to read beyond or understand beyond, or what we call reading between the text, you go deeper because there is something that will give us, there is something that it is hidden on the text that you need to comprehend. That's the higher degree. No, reading between the text. I hope that you understand what I am trying to tell you. Okay, so without the text there would be nothing to read, so it will always start at the on the text. That is why we need to understand, and we need to learn how to write and how to read, because sometimes there are higher degree, no, on the text that we need to comprehend, because there are some message are being covered or behind on the sentence. That is why we need to read between the text, no. So without the word, without meaning, the text is reduced to series of incomprehensible doodles. When I say doodles, no, I believe that you know what is doodles. Mga draw of lines, continuation of different lines. This is what you do always, no, during the face-to-face classes when you are seated at the back and you try to look at your notes, no? You try to look at the notes every time we check your notes. No, mas mauna pang mapuno yung mga nasa likurang bahagi ng iyong notes, because that is the time that you feel that you don't want to listen to your teacher. You just write something, anything that in the last part of your notes. That's doodling. No? So it's incomprehensible doodles, meaning to say it's very difficult for us to identify if these texts are not being clearly written, no, without meaning. This text will reduce into a series of only incomprehensible doodles, meaning we could not understand. So again, it is very important that we need to what? Understand the text, read the text, comprehend the text, give meaning to the text. Sometimes I said there are some texts that give us another meaning. That is why we need to read between the lines. Another study in 2001, based on, I don't know how to pronounce it right. I know you can read that one. He defines the concept of functional literacy as the state of being able to read, but not well enough to manage daily living. So there is another association from the word functional literacy. If we are using that one in our daily life, that becomes a functional literacy. And of course, all of us are hoping to become a professional individual, and we are in our workplace and we are employed. So employment task, for example, you are a teacher or tasked to teach. You are a police officer, you are being tasked of to become a police officer. That's a basic that's functional literacy. That require reading skills beyond basic level. No, it's beyond basic level. The basic level is reading and writing. When we apply that understanding and learning to our daily life and our employment tasks, when we are asked to teach because we are a teacher, therefore we are functionally working, no, on our literacy. So there is functional literacy if we can perform and manage our daily living and perform our tasks as an employee. Okay, so that's functional literacy according to Shilexley. Next, this synchronicity between decoding textual symbols and being able to extract and understand their meaning is necessary part of being literate. Imagine unsa kataas, gaano kataas ang level in order for us to be called and labeled literate. We need to decode the text. Meaning to say, when I say decode the text, you can identify that when these letters are combined, for example, textual, textual, is being read as textual. So that's decoding. No? Decoding the textual symbols. And after that, you can read the word, but there is something that you need to become fully literate individual. After decoding the word, group of letters being combined, let's become a symbol, textual symbols, you need to what? Extract and understand their meaning. So, meaning to say, if you can decode the word, there are two necessary synchronicity that we need. No, that is why synchronicity means say synchronize between decoding and understanding the extracted meaning of the text or symbols. Even as the new context of the 21st century changes the nature of what the text is and what means to read and write. So, higher degree in the 21st century, it's not only decoding the text, the textual symbols, but we will be able to what? To understand and extract the meaning of the textual symbols that what we are reading and writing. So that's literacy, concept of literacy. I hope that you get the totality of the definition, the concept of literacy. So let's proceed now to another discussion. I hope that you are still with me. I hope that you are learning the basic foundation of definition, the basic concept of literacy, because we are now in the next step. We are not talking about the expanded views. So it's higher one because it's expanded. There are definition, there are different there are expansion of how we give definition the word literacy. Okay. So here, despite the popularity of American films in the Philippines, no, especially right now, we have the Netflix, we have different movie portals, no, in the internet because of the digitalization, no, we can really access movies, no, films which is in English. Now, many Filipinos cannot follow the actor's dialogue. Why? Although we are watching the movies in English, we can understand because of their action, but not on the dialogue that they are being used. That is why subtitle is being written at the bottom of the screen. But that would help that could really help us understand the scenario or the situation of the movie or the film. But it will really give us more of time to focus on the subtitle in order for us to understand the dialogue of the movie. So unfortunately, we could not easily go understand the entire scenario. So why we have that kind of situation? No, it will resort to guessing the overall story based on the actions on the screen, as I said. No, if we are not exposed, that is why how to improve the communication skills, our English language. Let us try ourselves to expose to different movies in English so that on that time we can develop, we are exposing ourselves on that, no, by such time we can really understand and we are being equipped of that skills. So definitely we are just guessing of what happened, no. If someone will ask you what happened in the movie, you just always rely on your guessing stage on the overall story based on the actions that you have seen on the screen. No, that's the reality. Okay. Despite the ubiquity of the traditional view of literacy, Roberts in 1995 notes that in the past 50 years, hundreds of definitions of literacy have been advanced by scholars. Even in the UNESCO, please take note of the definition of the organization UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, had released a statement in 2006 that acknowledging the literacy as a concept has proven to be complex and dynamic, it being continually defined and interpreted in multiple ways. Motto, no? In the first presentation, there are different definitions of literacy, the concept of literacy, how it was being presented. No, but in 2006, the UNESCO acknowledged that there are various concepts that proven to be complex and dynamic ang new literacy or the literacy. So according to UNESCO, this is their definition. According to them, formally define literacy as the ability to identify, understand. So if you try to look at, these are the skills that we need to have. Identify, meaning these are the textual symbols. We need to understand, we need to identify the textual symbols to become literate and able to read and write. Understand the textual symbols, interpret, give meaning on it. If you can create and communicate, again, the word communicate is being used here by the UNESCO in their definition of literacy. And compute, of course, that's basic literacy, using unprinted materials associated with varying contexts, no? Different idea and notion. Literacy involves a continuum of learning. We need to say it's a continuous process, enabling individuals to achieve their goals, to develop their knowledge and potential, to participate fully in their community and wider society. So how we use the literacy in our community and society, that's part of the functional literacy. Note that reading does not appear in UNESCO. If you try to look at, there's no reading out there. Instead, literacy has taken to definition more akin to knowing about something and what to do with it. This is a very important statement according to UNESCO. I hope that you give emphasis on this and reflect on this because this is very important statement given to us by UNESCO. Knowing about something and what to do with it. You know what this item all about? For example, this is a ball pen. This is a ball pen. This is a symbol of a ball pen. You know that this is a ball pen, but what to do with it? What's the function of this ball pen? So that's the entire literacy. If you know that this is a ball pen and you don't know what's the function of the ball pen, then that's not literacy at all. Because according to UNESCO's definition of literacy, knowing about something, that exists, but if you don't know what to do with that, that's not literacy. Supposedly, you know that item, that thing, that is something, and of course, you know what to do with that. That's the degree of literacy on how UNESCO gave us their definition of literacy. Okay, so we have learned something, a lot of things about its definition already of the basic literacy, the concept of literacy, the conventional way on how to define literacy. Another one, we have McIntyre, 2018, more succinctly posits that literacy is a form of knowledge. Imagine another reference telling us that it's a form of knowledge, competence, skills in particular field or area. So that's its definition of literacy. This is also supported by UNESCO and different researcher that mentioned in the presentation, which acknowledge that we have just pointed out modern views appear to equate literacy with knowledge. Meaning to say, in the 21st century, in the modern world, modern views, this is no longer conventional definition of literacy because it is associated and equated in the modern views of how we equate literacy to knowledge. When I say literacy right now, again, literacy is equated of knowledge. If you have knowledge, meaning you are literate. If you are literate, you need to have that knowledge. So that's a mutual one. That is how they give its views on literacy. It's a form of knowledge, competence, and skills in a particular field. For example, I know how to ride. I know how to drive. That's a skill. That is a knowledge, and that is literacy. I have a literacy in driving. I know how to cook. I cook. That's my skill, and that is a specific field or area. Therefore, I am literate when it comes to cooking. Again, another example, I know how to teach what I teach. I am competent in teaching. I have that skill in teaching. That's a particular field of teaching. Therefore, I have the knowledge and I am literate when it comes to teaching. So that's how the views of literacy in the modern views appears like to equate literacy with knowledge. This shift in the definition of literacy, now, there is a shift as you observe in a conventional way of definition of defining the word literacy. It's only reading and writing. But in the modern views, the reading and writing in the conventional way in defining the word literacy, it is shifted to the word knowledge. So it's a broader scope of learning. No, it's a broader scope because it's already a knowledge. So especially important as we explore the new literacies. When we go there, now we are just talking about literacy right this moment. So when we explore new literacies in the 21st century, now this is now related to knowledge. But when I talk about basic literacy, it's just reading and writing. So it seems that in the 21st century, that seem far removed from the context upon which conventional literacy is based. So definitely right now, the conventional way of defining literacy is being removed from the 21st century because it needed to have this kind of criteria in order for us to become literate. The knowledge, the competence, and the skills. Okay, I hope that you have seen the shift of the definition, the conventional definition from writing and writing to knowledge. Okay, now we are now moving into the 21st century. This is now the literacy, the new literacy is being defined in the 21st century. In the same vein of reasoning, the same reasoning, the new literacies are not new per se. It's not really new as of now because it's already old, no? But literally, it is being defined, being labeled as new per se. As in the sense that they never existed before. No, they never existed before. That is why it is labeled new. But it doesn't mean per se it's new because it's already old. No? Rather, we consider them to be new because the context which old skills we are comparing the literacy to old skills and knowledge being employed are new both in nature and scope. The ability to translate textual information or textual symbol into images is not new scale, no. But in the definition, it's just a new, no. That is not a new skill because that simply an individual can really do that. Simple as a child can really do the translation of textual information into images. But it is the ability to do so in a way that is concise, complete, clear, that is certainly new, given that it will be how 90% of the population will be informed on the issue. Similarly, being able to verify the truth value, veracity of the document is not a new skill, but actually that's an important skill for us to identify an information, how valid is the document that we are reading, how valid, how truthful the information that we are reading. That's the ability. No, that's an information literacy. How we can distinguish a rightful information, an information which is legitimate, to a non-legitimate information. That's a skill. That is what we call information literacy. Now we are talking about the truth, value, and the veracity of a certain information of a document. That is not a new skill, but being able to do so when there are hundreds of similar documents available to you online is the new one. When there are hundreds of available presentation of information in social media or in online, how are you going to identify which is true and which is not? That's an information literacy. No, when we discuss information literacy, you can really identify. No, we can make a video presentation on how to verify an information which is true or not. No, because fake news in our community right now is rampant. Fake informations are spread out our society. So if you are in the 21st century, your literacy that we need on that to identify, to distinguish its veracity, you need to have that kind of literacy or skill, the information literacy. That's a higher degree of literacy in the 21st century. In case in point, throughout the history, humans have communicated in level parts, from spoken to written word, for example, visually using the long distance communication like the signal, the non-verbal communication like the smoke being used for you to ask help, no SOS, The Chinese are using smoke signals. The ancient Greeks and indigenous people in other country and other areas in the world are using nonverbal communication to give us an idea that you are communicating to someone. In the Victorian era in Greece, in United Kingdom, no Victorian era, there was such a thing as the language of flowers. Imagine language of flowers. If you try to observe the hats of women in Great Britain, they have to wear different flowers in their headdress or in their hat. No, so where the kind of color and arrangement of bouquet of flowers were used to communicate message that could not otherwise be spoken aloud in Victorian society. That is why if you try to look at the European, especially the British people, or the United Kingdom, English people, British people, they are wearing hat, especially girls, women, with different flowers. That is why it gives us a communication and information about the language of flowers. Imagine those, if you have example siguro, if you have that huge bouquet of flowers in your head, no, it symbolizes that you are an elite. You came from the elite family. For example, a bouquet of oak leaves representing strength. Imagine if you're wearing a bouquet of oak leaves, you are representing strength. If you are wearing a purple roses, you represent sorrow. White lilies, resurrection. Those and so on and so forth. So successfully interpreting these visual languages required a visual literacy. So if you can associate that those language of flowers, no, for example, in us, no, we have color presentation, no. For example, today we are in the political arena. If you're wearing pink, you are supposed to be a supporter of Vice President Lenin Obrador. That's a visual language, no. If you are wearing red, probably you are a supporter of former Senator Bongbong Marcos. That's visual literacy. If you have the idea or knowledge and information about the visual or the language of visual representation, that could give you a visual literacy. No, you can understand the message of being presented, and to manage information included therein is a skills, which as following chapters will further reveal in the further in discussion in us. So by this time, we will just keep on scrolling on this. We have several discussions. So by this, let us just uh, stop on the literacy in the 21st century. We will have another series of discussion, a continuation of these lectures of mine on the literacy in the 21st century. So I hope that you have learned something from today's discussion. The last part of our discussion will be all about how on answering the third question. You will be writing in the what they call this one, in the comment section. The last part of it is your um, learnings. This is now our last part, our exit card. No, so you will be writing in a comment section about the exit card. No, this is our first task for the lecture. You'll be writing your exit card. In the exit card, you will write anything that you have learned from today's discussion, in this video's discussion. So thank you so much, guys, to all the students who are listening and watching this presentation. Thank you so much for supporting our channel. Don't forget to subscribe our channel, and of course, like this video if you like this one, and share to your students, future educators. So thank you so much, and keep safe, everyone. God bless, and see you to our next session. Thank you, and God bless everyone.